Lincoln, Maine. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be making some cards with our June 2021 Crafty Courtyard Kit. Our first card, we're going to use the postcard. So I have cut the postcard apart and I'm going to use this part of it, the circle that has the seahorse in it, and the sentiment from the postcard. And we're going to make kind of a fun folding card. You need 2 card bases to make this card. One of them is an A2 size card. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when folded. You're going to need another card base for this card, but this card base, when folded, is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So it's a 1/4 inch smaller than the bottom card base. It's another top folding card, so it opens long way. But what you're going to do is you're going to score that top half of the card in half and fold it back. So your card looks like this from the side. So this card is kind of like a tent where it will stand up on a table or a shelf. It's going to stand up and display nicely. So we're going to glue these 2 card bases together. So I have the front of my bottom card. My top card is actually going to go upside down onto that bottom card. So it opens up at the top instead of at the bottom. And the folded piece that we did in the front here is going to go down this way. For the inside of this top card, which is white, I've cut 2 layering pieces with our layered rectangle dies. One in that beautiful glitter paper that's in the kit, that blue, it's really gorgeous. And one from this really cute waves pattern paper. And we're going to layer those on the inside of the card. Now we have the inside of the card. I'm going to fold up this front part. So it's folded in half. And I've cut a piece of the plaid pattern paper from the paper pack that I'm going to place on the front of that flap there. Now to give a little border in between this swirly wave paper and the plaid, I've cut out a thin strip of the blue glitter paper, and that's going to give us a nice border in between the 2 patterns. For the circle that we cut out of the postcard, we got this straight edge, so I'm going to put that on the edge here. I'm going to make it match the edge of my top card, or that white card. I'm just going to figure out where I want to place it on the front, and I'm just going to glue it down to this bottom part of the card. I don't want to glue it up on the top on the waves paper because I want this to be able to come out and stand like an easel. So we're just going to glue the bottom half. Now you can kind of see how dimensional this card is, how this front part stands, kind of folds out. And when you stand the card up on the table, it's going to stand up like an easel. And it's going to pop out and be kind of 3-dimensional from the front. And look, it's going to look really cool standing on a shelf. Now I'm just going to add the sentiment that I cut out of the postcard to the bottom portion. And there is our fun easel card. Isn't that cool? I don't think it's finished yet though. It needs glitter enamel dots. So let's add some of our glitter enamel dots. And there's our finished card. I think that's really cool. Our next card is going to be a slimline card. So I have my card base folded. It's 8 1/2 by 3 1/2 inches. I've cut out a inner scallop frame. This scallop frame die is from our Blessings Slimline dies. And you also get some words and sentiment dies along with that set. But it's got this cool little scallop frame that fits perfectly on our 8 1/2 by 3 1/2 inch card with a little white border around it. First, I want to add some pattern paper to this card. You can use 6x6 paper pad on a slimline card and just piece a couple of different patterns together. It looks really good. So I'm going to use this really cool little waves that has the shells for the top, and a stripe at the bottom. It coordinates really nicely. So I've cut this top piece 3 1/4 wide. It has that white border that the frame does. The frame's going to go around it. And I've cut it to 5 1/2. So it's 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then the rest down here to fill in the bottom, I've just cut the stripe piece 3 1/4 wide. And I've cut it about 2 1/2 inches or so. And I'm gonna piece it on here and just put it where it fits to give that nice white border around the edge. So let's glue these to the card. To give a little border or break in between these two patterns, it looks good to add like just a solid color, something to go across. So I've cut a little strip of teal paper that I'm gonna put in between the two patterns. Before we add our frame in that glitter paper, I wanna add a stitch circle I cut out with our stitch circle dies in the white cardstock. And this is going to be the highlight spot for all of our shells and seahorses. So I've cut out a bunch of the shells that are part of the kit, the dies. I've cut them out in different colors of cardstock that's included in the kit. And I'm just going to add some shells on this circle, but I want the circle to go off the side of the card. So I'm going to cut a portion of it off. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this circle down to the card base. I also stamped and cut out the sentiment, "I sure do miss you." And I want to add that down here at the bottom. And I want it to be peeking out from the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the frame down because I'm going to put our shells and seahorse on the top layer. And then I'm going to squeeze this little sentiment in down here and have it peeking out from the frame. That frame borders our pattern papers in the circle really nicely. And now I'm going to add the sentiment and just peek it right behind one of those scallops. There we have our card base done. So I'm just going to play around with the different shells and seahorses and see which arrangement and colors I like the best. There, I've got our shells and our seahorse on there. I really do like that. And I just left the little pieces inside the die cut that they cut out. You could pop those out and add other colors in there, inlay the other pieces, but I just left it tone on tone. I kind of like that for this card. Yeah, so there's our finished piece. And I have lots of die cuts left over that I can make more cards with. For our next card, it's going to be an A2 size side folded card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I've cut out of the teal cardstock a scalloped rectangle and a stitched rectangle to go inside that from this nice tan polka dotted paper. And we're going to put these down on the card. For this card, I've used the stencil in the kit, the one with the circle with the wavy lines, and I've just ink blended a blue, teal, and kind of a lime green color. I just ink blended that through the stencil, and then I took my circle and I used one of our layered circle dies, and it fit the circle perfectly. So I cut out the circle with the die, and I'm going to use this on the card. Put it right in the center there. And then I've cut out of the glitter paper a seahorse. And I'm going to add him to the circle. And then I've stamped and cut out the sentiment, "Nothing a dose of vitamin C can't fix." And I'm going to glue that down to the bottom of the card. And there's a super simple card that I think is just gorgeous. I'm going to add a few of our glitter enamel dots to finish it off. There are, I think, 3 in the corner over here, just balance out the sparkly seahorse just perfectly. Our next card, we're going to make another A2 size side folding card. And please forgive me, guys, I went way outside of the color range of this kit for this one, but sometimes you got to think outside the box, right? These kits are so versatile, and using the dies with other colored papers and the stencils with other colored inks, you can create some really fun looks. So this time, check this out. I've used orange, pink, and purple to create kind of a horizon type look. Really pretty with the stencil in the kit. And I've used one of our layered circle dies to cut it out. And I'm just going to put it on the center of the card. There's that. Wow, I just love the look of that. Those colors are beautiful. Next, I've cut out of the die of the kit in this hot pink paper. I've cut out the Hello Sunshine that's in the kit, and I've just cut a little strip of black cardstock to layer behind it so it really pops off the card. And you don't have to, you can leave it out, but I even kept the little inner part of the O in the Hello Sunshine. I'm going to glue this underneath the circle. And I just love how that Hello Sunshine fits perfectly right across the A2 size card with a little white border on each side. Next, I used the dies in the kit and I cut out the sunglasses in black cardstock, and I'm going to glue that down to the card. I think this is looking so cool, but you know what would really take this up to the next level? Okay, I've cut the inside of the sunglasses or the shades. I've cut the lenses out of some of our holographic cardstock. Oh my, it's super shiny. We have 2 sets of holographic cardstock. And here's the finished card. It's super simple, but I think it is so colorful and fun, and those shiny lenses and those shades looks really cool. And I hope you don't mind that I stepped outside the kit. I still use the dies, the stencil. I just changed up the colors a little bit. And you can get a totally different look for your cards. For our last card, we're back to the colors in the kit. I've got a teal card base. It's top folding A2 size card. I've cut out a layering piece with our layered rectangle dies of this really cute seahorse pattern paper from the paper pack. I've cut out a thick strip of the blue glitter paper to go across the pattern paper on the card. I've got a slightly thinner white strip of paper to go across where I've stamped 3 of seahorses from the stamp set. I'm just going to glue that down. And to fill in that extra white spot there on that strip, I've just cut out with the die a larger seahorse. It's going to fit in just like so. I've added a little bit of foam adhesive to the back so he'll pop off the card a little bit and give it some dimension. I think I'm going to add a couple of our glitter enamel dots to finish this card off. And there's our finished card. I'm not even going to add a sentiment to this. I think this is beautiful just as a note card that you can use for any occasion. So I'm going to leave it just as so. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed the cards we've made with the June 2021 Crafty Courtyard Kit themed vitamin C. So head over to pinkandmain.com to check that out. Until next time, my friends, keep living the creative life.